All right, folks, here we go on this Friday. We are going to start in just 4 minutes with our legal expert, attorney Stephanie Murphy. She's going to be joining us in just a moment. Boy, what a week of news. And there's still news developing. So it's a good thing that we go 7 days a week. All right, we're going to be starting. Good afternoon, Janet. We're going to be starting in just 4 minutes. By the way, this morning, I woke up, and I want to thank Missy. She is our command center in Pawtucket. Said they got something major going on Sabin Street. So what on Friday? They jumped up, leaped. Thank you, Gian. Got out of bed immediately, raced to Pawtucket, and it was a swatting call. Now, we're going to talk with our legal expert, attorney Stephanie Murphy. Now, my information, folks, I don't believe that this is a local situation. They seem to utilize social media, but if in fact they ever catch, this seems to be very organized. I have a little more intelligence, but it's very possible that someone is doing this and filming it, and then they want to post on social media in prank form. But we'll talk to our legal expert, attorney Stephanie Murphy. But there are consequences. There are consequences to it. So, all right. We also have the latest. I can, let me just see this. Okay. There's the Woonsocket. They had, student. Oh, wow. Holy cow. Woonsocket made they got to get that school under control. I'll read that. They juvenile arrest, and they threatened to go home and get a weapon, and they did have a weapon. Wow. Let's see. Just check what else. We have the latest on Central Falls, CF, and then also, obviously, we're going to start with the situation in Woonsocket. Hi there, Bill. Hello to all. Again, and I also want to mention, folks, so the situation in Woonsocket, I don't understand the people saying, all right, the story's over, move on. Well, the story's not over, because I have spoken with the daughter, Jasmine. She did say I could say her name, but we have an interview with her on our website, depetro.com. And, you know, if you follow, and again, I have this all posted on the website, but if you follow the path of travel here, so they break up, and then she said he never had a weapon. And then, you know, I've learned that in between time, he went and got a weapon, but someone got him that weapon, and that person has not been caught. There's this. So my point is that story is not over. If that individual had not provided the weapon to Sean Rivera, he may be angry. He may be upset that she broke up with him. I think it's also interesting. Everyone seems to be quiet on the fact that, you know, and I mentioned this when I interviewed her. She said that when she first met him, he had Sean Rivera, the gunman, he had an ankle bracelet on, and she never asked why. And I have found out he was arrested. He was on home confinement for arson, and he was accused and convicted of he lit the porch on fire for this girl, broke up with him, started dating a new guy. But let's just get started. And right now at 1:06 on this Friday, we are live on AM 1380, 99.9 FM. Now, you can always listen online at our website, depetro.com. And don't forget, right now, we are live on X. We are live on our YouTube channel, and we're also live on Facebook. Let's bring her on, folks. And this is another example. You know, I also want to ask her, I think I already know the answer, but some of these people, all these juveniles getting arrested, that you still need to get an attorney. There's a lot of different elements and things that sometimes happen. And as I instruct people to do, and I would encourage you to do, if in fact you have a legal situation, maybe you're not sure what to do, maybe it's a family member, maybe it's someone you work with, instead of debating about it, why not contact her, Stephanie Murphy, Marin, Barrett, and Murphy, criminal defense attorneys, 50 years combined Rhode Island criminal defense experience. Remember, free consultation. Maybe you don't need a legal, someone to represent you or a family member. Maybe it's just a phone call, or maybe she says, I think you ought to come in and we ought to talk about it. 401-228-8271. Let's bring her on. She's our legal expert, and it is attorney Stephanie Murphy. Stephanie, let's start off this situation in Woonsocket, where on Monday night, horrible situation with gunmen, and there's a lot of questions. The daughter has told me she has no idea where Sean Rivera, the boyfriend, got the weapon, obtained the weapon. So police have said that the weapon was stolen out of Maine. Can you just touch on, someone may have said, hey, I didn't know what he wanted to use it for, but it sure sounds when they eventually get up to that person, there's going to be some culpability with whoever provided him that weapon. We're going to ask Stephanie to reconnect. I'm not exactly sure what the problem is, but we'll get it straightened out. Yes, it is. Thank you. I am. No one knows that more than I do. No reason to. I like that. Sound is awful. Yeah, we know that. That's why we bad connection. We'll get it straightened out. We're live. It can happen, and we'll get it worked out. We also have that student now. The 18-year-old East Providence High School student. Okay, I think that should be her. Okay, who was arrested. Let's reconnect with attorney Stephanie Murphy. There you are, Stephanie.
Sorry about that, John.
Stephanie, no, not a problem. Pick it right up from, obviously you have this horrible situation. The boyfriend's in the house. He shoots and kills, the mother. He shoots and kills the stepfather. The girlfriend escapes. He turns the gun on himself. Some people think the story is over, but I interviewed the daughter, and she said, I have no idea where he got that gun. He never had it before.
Yeah, I think the investigation goes on and on and on to where the gun is from, if it's stolen, who produced the gun, how they produced the gun, why they produced the gun, everything like that. I think there's a lot more to this investigation that probably goes well beyond just immediate family members and well into, other circles of friendships and relatives.
Let's say there's someone out there who knew this individual, the gunman, Sean Rivera, and said, yeah, I'll loan you. Apparently, the police said the gun had been stolen out of Maine. But let's just say he said, you can borrow it or I'll sell it to you. What type of potentially legal problems could that person be in that the weapon was then used to essentially kill, the two innocent people?
Right. I mean, they can get charged with conspiracy. They can get charged with a murder charge. There's a lot that you can get charged with by providing a firearm that's used in a crime. And anytime you provide a firearm, you provide any sort of, device to anyone, you could absolutely be culpable for whatever they do with that device, whether you knew exactly or you didn't know. That's all part of the police investigation. And, we know in this day and age with text messages and videos and everything like that, that the police are going to find exactly what the conversation was if you had it over text message or chats and stuff like that. And they're definitely going to go after, the bigger, the outer circle, and not just the inner circle.
Stephanie, whoever provided Sean Rivera with that weapon, I would imagine two things. I view this as, number one, they need to contact an attorney, whether it's you or someone else. But I would view this as, you tell me, but that person should be more inclined with an attorney to contact the police before the police come looking for them.
Right. I mean, there could be an explanation that kind of explains what they were thinking or what they knew at the time. And it's better to go to the police with your story than to have the police come with you with their story. And then at that point, it's too late. The police have done their investigation, they formed their opinions, there's an arrest warrant for you. Whereas now you can almost cooperate in an investigation. And sometimes cooperation really pays off.
One last question on this, because the gunman took his own life. There's no way to go after him, but is there potentially now some kind of legal recourse for the daughter if they somehow find there should have been culpability with others involved in the death of her mother and stepfather?
Absolutely, John. If there's negligence or, liability and everything that goes to somebody else in the picture, there's absolutely some sort of remedy and some sort of investigation that can be done and possible civil suit down the road, if not a criminal, charges to people in the future.
Now, I want to touch on this is the second one I'm aware of this week, and it's they call these swatting calls. Earlier in the week, Warwick police got a text message now from someone claiming it was a mother in the woods and she was about to give birth, and that set off all these first responders right off of Route 2, and then Bald Hill Road. And then this morning, I woke up and I went flying to Pawtucket because what did we hear? It came over that there was a shots fired inside of a residence and there was someone wounded and the person still had a weapon, and it was all the SWATs out there and they surround the whole thing. And then it turns out that it was another one of these swatting calls. Eventually somebody could get hurt. Someone mistakenly walks into it. But Stephanie, if there's someone that thinks that this is funny and maybe they're filming the first responders showing up, if you could just touch on it, there's some legal ramifications here if they get caught.
Oh, absolutely. I think there's criminal and civil liability for something like this. What they're doing is they're taking away first responders, police, SWAT teams. What they're doing is they're taking them away from a true emergency, and that's absolutely a civil liability. It's also a criminal charge by, calling in a false police report or a false, statement to the police. And there's a lot of civil liability in just terms of what the first responders can't do and what they do and what they walk into. It's definitely a crime, and it's definitely opens you up to civil liability also.
Now, just a week ago, Halloween into Saturday morning, I learned that there was a social media post telling everyone, "Hey, come to the corner of Eaton Street and Radcliffe." So all these people gather there. I think they said at midnight. So there's a huge group of people in the streets. Kids are coming from all over, and for some reason, a bunch of people are in costume, and it's 1 o'clock in the morning, what have you. But they start jumping on a car. And police do arrive, but there's 1,000 people. And then they do a video of the incident, and they just announced the arrest of an 18-year-old high school student from East Providence. They have him they claim that's him in a Celtics jersey, and he's destroying this vehicle. What happens when you have a mob of people, and maybe they're not arrested right away, but if someone to say, "Hey, listen, I was just there. I was going along with everybody else. There were other people that were also damaging property and jumping on this vehicle."
Well, I definitely think with surveillance and videos and everything like that and eyewitness identification, the police can pinpoint kind of the main perpetrators of, the crimes, definitely get those charged, or maybe ask people if they recognize them on the video, to come in to give a statement. And maybe they weren't the ones doing the illegal activity, but, they know the people who were. Or they saw stuff on social media, people posting, "Hey, look at what I'm doing." A lot of times people will post things on social media not really realizing that there could be criminal implications of what they're posting. People use their phones, they video what they're doing at certain points, and then a lot of people post it and they don't know, they don't think anything of it. But by posting it on any social media platform, police are looking at it, they're investigating it, they're looking at everything and trying to determine who acted in a criminal way. And, through the investigations and through technology, they can find out who they are, and they're definitely open themselves up to many criminal charges, as in this case.
Is that a defense of, "Hey, listen, I just got caught up with the crowd. There were other people jumping on the car, so I thought it was okay. So I thought it was okay to damage the property. How come I'm it's not fair to single me out because there were other people doing damage.
I mean, I definitely don't think that's a defense. It could be maybe a mitigation factor that maybe I would use. But if you're jumping on a car just because other people are jumping on the car, I definitely think that could give rise to like disorderly conduct and stuff like that. Maybe the people cracking the windows would be, vandalism and, more serious charges. But your actions, you control your own actions and you're definitely responsible. And there's really not, it's not like self-defense when you're jumping on a car just because other people are jumping on the car. So I would say I wouldn't really use it as a defense.
I've received so many messages about this, and people wanted me to ask you about it from Instagram. And one of the defenses, and again, I'm not going to say who it was, but they were saying it was the owner of the car's responsibility to inform those individuals that they were not allowed to destroy the vehicle. And by being silent, basically gave permission to those individuals.
That's a very creative argument. I like it, but I don't think it would really work in all honesty. If you are out in public, and someone hits you or something like that, you basically don't have to, say don't hit me before somebody hits you. It's just not how our laws work. It's a very creative argument. I like it. I don't think you would win the case, but I think, throwing out there that you're one of 20 people and, you got caught up in the moment and this isn't how you usually act and this does not define who you are, I think that would be a better argument in this circumstance, but I do like the creativity.
We sometimes see this a lot when a team wins a Super Bowl or a championship, and they have the big parade, and people just get carried away. Philadelphia is famous for that. The fans climbing the poles. Stephanie, one other question about this. Now, police were criticizing, that they should have just started arresting the crowd. And here's what I understand from the police. You had a mob of maybe 1,000 people. They felt they had a pretty good idea through video surveillance who had done it. They felt if they started arresting people, they're outnumbered, it could turn into a riot. But this notion that, let's just say, I'm a student. I'm 19 years old. It's 2:00 in the morning. I am standing on a corner near Providence College, Radcliffe and Eaton Street. You tell me, but the police don't have the right to arrest me because there were a group of people vandalizing and destroying a car, a half hour ago down the block.
I agree. I mean, they need probable cause to arrest, so they can't just go arresting you because you're there. But you don't know what the police know. You don't know what live video cameras on traffic devices there are. You don't know what the police know about identification of the person and stuff like that. But in that situation, half an hour later, the police would have to be able to justify why they thought it was you and that they have probable cause to arrest you for that specific crime.
Now, this other story, Rhode Island driver fled into woods after the 195 rollover. Now, I heard from this person claims it's the cousin of one of the individuals and wanted me to ask, what if that happens and the reason they're fleeing is to seek medical help, and that's why they're fleeing the scene?
I think that would depend on looking at the totality of the circumstances. I mean, if you have a cell phone, if you can stop another vehicle, get help that way. I kind of think that argument would fail then. In terms of seeking help, I think the normal reaction would be to stay on scene. If people see a car, police are responding, other people are stopping. But I mean, there are incidences where people are in an accident and, something happens with their head, their memory, their judgment, and, they're not really well at that moment. But I think, fleeing the scene in any circumstances might be, trying to cover up something else that you're hiding, whether intoxication or drugs or something like that. I don't think that's a normal reaction to flee the scene unless you've committed a crime or you're worried or have a warrant out for your arrest. So seeking medical help, I don't know the facts too well, but typically I think people would want to stay on scene to get medical help.
And if someone did get in an accident and flee the scene, I view this is another time, contact yourself or someone, another attorney. And the police always tell me it's better to go and find them before they come and to find you.
Oh, absolutely. Contact an attorney, say, hey, I made a lapse in judgment. I was involved in this accident. I know the police are looking at me. Can you make a phone call? Can you come with me to the station? Here are my concerns. And the attorney can even do some work beforehand to make sure that they have all the information. So definitely contact an attorney.
Now, I also just want to ask you about this Smithfield situation. It seems it's kind of veering out of control, or did a little bit. The superintendent's on leave. There are accusations of anti-Semitic behavior by some of the members of the football team. Now, the parents of the 5 players have an attorney saying there was never anything anti-Semitic. They were just doing it because he's a freshman. I'm not sure why the superintendent and the school were silent and allowed these. There were at least 2 press conferences, one involving U.S. congressmen saying anti-Semitism won't be allowed at Smithfield. And now we're learning that maybe the whole thing was just they were doing because they're a freshman. I just wondered, as a follow-up, did you have any thoughts or reaction to the latest development with Smithfield High School?
I just think it's an ongoing involvement of what people knew, how they knew it, and what the reaction of the school committee, the superintendent. I feel like the public just want answers and they want to know what's going on. And when they aren't being informed about what's going on, I think that's when kind of, untruths might come out or do come out. But I always take the approach as I would rather just be honest and upfront about things going on and let the chips fall as they may, but also be on top of it and act, let the people in the town, let the high school, let the school committee, let everyone talk about what's going on. Don't hide anything or don't hide behind somebody. I think the public in this day and age is just looking for transparency and the truth. And maybe that didn't happen right away in this case. And maybe in hindsight, that's what should have happened.
Folks, it's time for Murphy's Law. This is a story that our legal expert, attorney Stephanie Murphy, has found. Stephanie, what do you have for us this week?
Yeah, so I've been looking and following some of those lawsuits against, Chat GPT and other artificial intelligence in terms of teenagers who are kind of turning to them. And, there's a couple of the big lawsuits where somebody has, taken their own life and everything like that. So it's just something I'm following in terms of safeguards on AI. I'm a mom of 4, what can I do to protect my children? So I think really the premise of some of these lawsuits are just for the companies to put safeguards in. And I'm interested to see, the company's response and what they can do to kind of help the situation.
Folks, again, she is attorney Stephanie Murphy. If you run in or a family member, don't guess. Don't hope that maybe it's just going to go away. Contact her, find out more. Stephanie, excellent job as always, and we'll talk to you next week.
Great, John. Have a great weekend. Bye.
All right, folks, there it is, our legal segment with attorney Stephanie Murphy. Now, we have a lot to get to, and she is terrific. And I hear from so many of you, and people try to listen. I have covered a lot of trials, and I do work with the police, but you need an attorney. You need to, if you or your sibling or you have a friend or family member, the moment you start talking to attorney Stephanie Murphy or someone like that, you then, there can be attorney-client privilege. I can't offer that. I mean, I have some protections, but people try to feel me out. Can you find out what the police have? No, that's not my role to find out what the police have. So, all right, attorney Stephanie Murphy, folks. And again, I would call her 401-228-8271. I want to touch on, we have some big updates on this Friday. For those of you that follow, now we will be active tonight, Road Patrol Live. Remember, it's subscriber only. You can watch it. You can watch it later, but it just works better when it's subscriber only. Tonight we'll be out, and then we'll see how the weekend plays out. But I do want to just remind you quickly about Propane Plus. Call them today, 401-885-4209. In Massachusetts, 508-252-3359 for Propane Plus. Heating and cooling, residential or commercial, you can depend on Propane Plus. Now, as far as Woonsocket, I recognize that there are some people that for whatever reason, I'll say this, I don't understand the people that they don't like the coverage, and they essentially start to, I don't know why or what I did to give them the impression, but they seem to think that they are the final word, right? No more talk about this. We had that guy yesterday. This is all old news. As I just stated, it's not old news. It's not old news. I have spoken with the daughter. Jasmine. She gave me permission to use her name. Her and I have developed a good rapport. She's very kind. Someone sent me, she posted on social media with everything going on in her life. And I'll share, her and I had a really nice chat last night. She actually posted, please don't send any more hate to John DePietro on my behalf. Here's the thing. We're learning that if you don't like the coverage, I don't know how else to explain it. You don't have to follow it. It is true, the gunman, Sean Rivera. That is true. Someone said to me, do you realize the Providence Journal doesn't have his photo up? I don't know. I mean, I was unaware of that. That has no bearing on our coverage. I will tell you that we're learning more about him. One of the reasons I'm learning more about him is because I put his photo out there. Because I've had people saying, don't show him. Some woman said, you're glamour. I'm not glamorizing him. You know what I learned? By posting his photo, people that knew him are contacting me and saying, such as, he was arrested for arson. Now, there is someone going wrong saying, no, he got blamed for that. That's not what I've learned. He was on, do you remember? And we posted this. When Jasmine met him, he had an ankle bracelet and he was on home confinement. And you know why that was? No one in the media has reported this. Is a girl broke up with him several years ago. And he took the breakup hard. Sound familiar? And then she started with a new guy. And so he lit the new boyfriend's house on fire. Do you see a pattern here? He doesn't take breakups well. He does not take breakups well. So now I've also learned, and I've reported, there's someone that knew him, knows him, we're going to use past tense, and believes he had a lot of online friends. And Jasmine told me that. I know that for some people, that's a different dynamic, but he had online friends. And this source, who I believe is very solid, believes that he obtained the weapon from a friend in New Hampshire. So let's just be very clear. For these people, we're not glamorizing him. I want you to understand that. I feel terrible. First of all, Jasmine she is just something else. She is. She's 19 years old. That goon. Her instincts were right. There was something wrong with him. That's why she broke up with him when he went there. Her instincts were right that he was potentially going to kill her. I understand these are the victims. There's Kimberly and Don. I get it. From everything I hear, they were wonderful people. As Jasmine said to me, I want everyone to know they were just the greatest people and they meant the world to me. And Kimberly basically gave her life for Jasmine. I could post their pictures every day, but if I'm posting their pictures, that doesn't get me people that know this goon, that know the gunman. Do you understand? So these people, don't post his picture. We have learned, number one, he was convicted of arson. I know there is a difference between someone is accused, but that he was on home confinement, ankle bracelet, arson, breakup of a girlfriend. So where did he get the weapon? For those that say, and I see these people, the story's over, move on, let these people grieve. The story is not over because someone provided him, Sean Rivera, the weapon. If they had not done that, these two people are alive, unless he was going to try to do the arson thing again. But don't tell me the story is over. Don't tell me to move on. We're not moving on. You don't have to follow. Listen, go to Channel 10 and go Channel 12. They're already moved off the story. They don't even put his photo up. We don't work that way. No. Whoever provided him the gun needs to be held accountable. This guy couldn't punch his way out of a paper bag. He had never been violent with her. There's something inside him that snapped. Jasmine's instincts were right. Something wrong with him. She broke up with him. Someone provided him a weapon, and he was going to go and kill her. Of course, it's horrifying. But don't tell me the story is over until we find out who provided him that weapon. And I am telling you, for the life of me, I don't understand these people. Enough. No more. No, listen, you can't bring them back. I have people posting, there's two sides to every story. No, there isn't. No, there isn't two sides. What do you mean two sides to every story? Those are friends of his. He had a lot of online friends. They've been invading my pages. There's two sides to every story. Okay, what is the other side? The other side would be somehow it was justifiable to take the life of these two beautiful people, Kimberly and Don, who did nothing wrong. Zero. They allowed this complete zero to live there, even after Jasmine had broken up with them. They were nothing but kind to him. Insanity. No, that is not people. There's always two sides to every story. Not every story. Not every story. I can count numerous examples where there are not two sides to every story. There's no two sides to 9/11. Hold on a minute. These guys may have had a good argument for flying those planes into the Trade Center. Wrong. And there's no two sides to this. Period. So, and I saw someone post, well, he doesn't like to hear the other side, or he kicks you out. Let me be crystal clear. There's no two sides to this story. If you think that, then you can put, I'm not blocking or banning them. Just state what it is. This, I can't even use the language, obtained a weapon, raped his girlfriend who had broken up with him, and then killed her mother and stepfather for no reason. Don't tell me there's two sides to every story. Wrong. Absolutely wrong. Ridiculous. There is a limit to how much I'm going to put up with. Now, yes, absolutely right. These people, move on. No more talking about it. I saw some guy. Yes. I saw someone post. No one should be posting his picture. Well, by posting his picture, I'm hearing from people that knew him, from people who have worked with him. No one else in the media has told you, number one, the story from Jasmine, the 19-year-old daughter. Number two, that he had been arrested for arson. Convicted, actually. Convicted. On home confinement with an ankle bracelet for arson. Whose house did he try to burn down? The boyfriend of the girl that broke up, the new boyfriend of the girlfriend he broke up with him. And number three, he snapped. So no, the story is not. Yes, 100%. And whoever did that, someone sent a message. Now, I do know they are an accessory. Someone, I can't keep up. I'll freely admit, I can't keep up with all the comments. I don't have time to read all the comments. I don't. Someone put, well, the person that provided him the gun, they're hurting too. Oh, boo-hoo. Really, they're hurting. They should be turning themselves in. The person that provided him the gun, oh, they're hurting. Excuse me for not having any sympathy. Because if that person, I get it's fully on him. It's on Sean. It is. But if he doesn't have the weapon, I'm willing to bet Jasmine and her mother could have fought him off if he had a knife. I do think that. And I am more than willing to bet that if he just had a knife, that Don would have handled him. I'm very confident of that. So Jasmine's instincts were right breaking up with him. Jasmine's instincts were right. There was something off with him, that he snapped. Jasmine's instincts were right that he had a gun and went to kill her. But I don't know what to tell you, these people. That's not, listen, he killed two innocent. This isn't glamorizing. We're trying to get to the root of it. And as far as, this whole, and I hear this every case, we're not interfering with the police investigation. By the way, those people that say that, the Providence Journal, Channel 10, Channel 12, they're listening because they were off the story. They have no interest in that. Much like, by the way, the Cranston story. There was still someone with that 19-year-old that shot and killed that kid who is still out there on the run. I will never understand the people that it's this reflex action. Don't talk about it. Don't talk about it. So, no, we are uncovering things. And I'm in no way interfering with the police investigation. Don't tell me that the person that provided him the gun that they're hurting. They should do the right thing and turn themselves in. Well, they're hurting too. Oh my God. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know. I feel very comfortable in the position that we're in and the coverage we're doing of it. And she is fantastic. She is. That's exactly right, Chuck. They don't. You don't provide that gun. Why do you need a gun? Well, I'm really upset. My girlfriend broke up with me. Oh, okay. Here you go. That sure sounds like charges to me. It does. No, we're not off the story. All right, I'm going to touch on. Now, I do want to mention, I mentioned the swatting call. I didn't know this. Boy, the situation in Woonsocket, I mean, this story, I'm not convinced they have the proper leadership here, but juvenile arrests. Listen to this. This just came over less than an hour ago, November 6th, which was yesterday, 8:40 in the morning. School resource officer, Woonsocket High School, notified by staff, student made threats to get a firearm returned to assault another student. Student, 16 years old, observed to be agitated leaving the school. School was placed in lockdown within a short time. The student was located walking close to his home. With the student secure, the school lockdown was lifted. Officers met with a parent at the student's home, able to search the residence. So the parent said, yeah, you can search. Another juvenile, 15-year-old, was located hiding in the bedroom of the residence, along with numerous packages of cannabis and a Taurus 38 revolver and a rifle, ammunition, and a machete. The 16-year-old was charged possession of a firearm, possession of ammunition. The 15-year-old was charged with, all right, couple things. Both of them are at the training school. Couple things about that. Number one, how do you not know that there's a 15-year-old hiding in your home? Parent didn't know there was a 15-year-old in the room. Is that a family member or just a friend? The parent. Notice the parent. Officers met with the parent and they were able to search the residence. You have a 16-year-old and a 15-year-old, and they have a 38, a rifle, ammunition, and a machete. I am telling you right now, I'm going to talk about Erica. I am telling you right now, there is something wrong. There's something wrong in Woonsocket, and it needs drastic changes. 15-year-olds and 16-year-olds should not be in possession of those weapons. I mean, this is really beyond the bounds. This isn't even someone fighting. You have a situation now when someone is making threats like that, they are absolutely forced to take it serious. So, all right. Now, I want to mention this is not appreciated, okay? I'm not a DJ. I'm not a DJ. We're not taking requests. I said I'd get to it. Okay? So pipe down. I'll tell you what, contact Channel 10 and Channel 12. They're off the story. There are people saying to get off the story. I'm not a DJ taking requests. I said I'd get to it between now and 2 o'clock. So hold your blanket horses. Speaking of Lynn Miller, how about the mayor of East Providence? Bob De Silva refers to East Providence as a third world country. Listen, enough about the EBT cards and the SNAP stuff. What is this? See, this is the problem when you're running you're literally running a welfare state. You would think there's 300 million people with EBT cards and SNAP. There aren't. These people aren't starving. How come every person they're interviewing that says they're starving is obese? I'm starving. The government's going to feed me. You could maybe, I don't know, get a job, earn some money, learn to cook. Don't spend so much money on an iPhone. Don't spend so much money on weed. Don't spend so much money on booze. Just a thought. Just a thought. They are ridiculous. But they have no manners. None. What about it? See, so, and I will get to it, but I don't care. I will highlight it. I will highlight it. As if I should stop everything because of a hagbag. We'll get to it. Tell you what, contact Channel 10 and the Journal and 12, those three, and say, hey, what's going on with, oh, that's right, they're not doing the story anymore. They haven't broken the news that she weighed 80 pounds. They haven't broken the news she was eating out of a dumpster. They're still asking, did she have 40 pets in her apartment, in the 2-bedroom apartment? All right. Mayor of East Providence. Trump doesn't know what it's like running a third world blank hole. Wow. Huh. Boy, there's a real endorsement. You ought to be the head of the Chamber of Commerce. All right. I will get to CF. We will touch on that. Last night, I met with some individuals. It was a little more dicey than I thought it would have been. I was undercover at Kennedy Plaza, meeting with some people that know the people, the 6 of them, the mob. I'm going to touch on that. But I want to remind you, I also want to stay on schedule. And I also want to remind you about Quality Asphalt Seal Coating. Call them today, 401-283-9815. 401-283-9815. Quality Asphalt Seal Coating. Get your garage epoxied and do it before the cold weather sets in. Give them a call. They could epoxy your garage, patio, decorative concrete flooring. Call Corey today at 401-283-9815. Now, yeah, that's right. They should. First of all, there's a lot of abuses with the SNAP benefits. That's number one. There's a lot of abuses with EBT cards. The Rhode Island judge is going to be overturned. This is embarrassing. The Rhode Island judge, and I know Judge Jack McConnell. I've known him for over 25 years. But this is embarrassing that the headline is always a Rhode Island judge is ordering the president. It's going to be overturned. I mean, as Justin Katz mentioned, Jack McConnell, Judge McConnell, and his wife, they are big Democrat donors. The late Buddy CNC used to basically say he bought himself. They have donated over $800,000 to Democrats. CNC used to say that he basically bought his judgeship. So I'm not going to go that far, but I just find it somewhat embarrassing that every time the president is taking an action now, the headline is a Rhode Island judge. It's going to be overturned. It's going to be overturned. Are there people that need government assistance? Of course there are, definitely. But a problem is, and I also want to point out, it was one of our, and I'm going to do a story on this, folks, topetro.com. We are going to upgrade it, but it's really just rocketed. But they use different language when it comes to how they're getting the illegals. There's illegals that are being given government benefits, and they use different language to try to get around it. So, but they're still giving them to them, and Matos and the rest of them. So it's pretty simple. If you offer people, if you come to this country We're going to give you free health care. We'll give you free food in the whole. And a problem, oh, good. A problem is we have a state of people that are encouraging it. That's what's going on. And they should not encourage it. So I am going to touch on Central Falls in just a moment. We do have some new information. But folks, on this Friday, remember, it's all about staying healthy. Oh, I was about to go. All right, she's going to join us in the moment. It's Marie, the Queen of Health at It's My Health, 1099 Menden Road in Cumberland. And we're going to find out what she has going for the weekend. And there she is. There's our queen. All right.
I couldn't
There
hear
she
you.
is, folks. Quite all right. Folks, it's the Queen of Health. It's Marie at It's My Health. Good afternoon, Marie.
Hi, John. Happy Friday. It is definitely feeling like fall, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Oh, my goodness, it's been chilly. What do we have on tap for today, my queen?
For today, we have alpaca socks. So we are well stocked with some really wonderful socks. Last year, they were so popular for the holidays, and it's getting cold. I love wearing these this time of year. They're just so nice and warm and comfortable. So if you need gifts, if you need warm socks for yourselves, I highly recommend them. And we have lots of really pretty designs, even things for pets. So we have the paw prints. So we have quite a few, and we have sizes, all kinds of sizes. So that's one thing, starting to think about, the holidays and thinking about winter and just being warm. But also thinking about colds and flu. We just got in this homeopathic remedy. It's called influenzinum. So you take this prophylactically, right? So it just came in because it takes them a while. Once the CDC comes up with the flu shot, they make a homeopathic remedy out of what is in the flu shot. And then you take this, even if you've gotten the flu shot, but some people don't like to get the flu shot, you take this once a week for a month and then once a month through flu season, and it does protect you from the flu. So hopefully, that's of course if they got the right strain, but we never know with that. But it does definitely help. And I have people who come looking for it beginning of October, and it just came in, so we're going through it pretty quickly. We can always get more. Local honey, elderberry syrup, fire cider, all good things to take this time of year to help with the immune system, to keep you strong. And if you do get sick, we do have other things. The My Community, which is mushrooms, very, very helpful, and Acylococcinum, which is a homeopathic remedy if you start to feel like you're getting the flu. We have lots of remedies to help this time of year.
You know what I'd like that you preach, Marie, is, and people need to realize this, there's so many things that you could do to keep yourself healthy. In other words, to be proactive as opposed to reactive, not taking things once you get sick, taking things to prevent you from getting sick.
Right. That's really, really important. This time of year, drinking a lot of water is still important. Getting good sleep. That's why, this time of year, we don't have as much sun. We're supposed to be resting more. So if we're resting well, we're restoring better. So that makes us healthier. Getting fresh air is real important. Getting out in that sunshine, getting out, breathing that fresh air is very, very important. Yeah.
Now, Marie,
Prevention.
what's happening at It's My Health this weekend?
So we do have our Pilates class, and we do have our yoga classes tomorrow, and the Power of 8 meditation group is meeting tomorrow at 2:00. Anybody can come. It's a wide open group. It's a really nice meditation group. Next Friday, we do have our medium, Roland Comtois, who does all the purple papers. He will be here next Friday night. It always sells out. We do still have a few seats left. So if anybody is looking to meet with a medium, if they're grieving and they would like to get a message, just give us a call, and we can get you in. We still have some space.
Heavy is the head that wears the crown. Folks, she is the Queen of Health. It is Marie. Marie, excellent job as always. Keep up the good work. Have a great weekend. We'll talk to you next week.
Thank you, John. Have a great weekend.
All right, folks, isn't she? She is just delightful, Marie. All right, I will touch on the Central Falls story. Couple things about this regarding Erica. Now, I did post, very, very sad. I haven't seen anyone else post it. Maybe they did. I am unaware of it. But I haven't seen any other media post the death notice for Erica Bader. Poor Erica, as we know, the girl had been living in Warwick and then ended up tragically dead in Central Falls. So that is a nicer photo of Erica. But here's what I'm learning, and I think people need to recognize this is not an easy case. You have a number of different people. You have a number of different people that are no strangers to law enforcement. We still haven't heard anything from the mayor of Central Falls. For whatever reason, she continues to be silent when it comes to Erica. And we've talked about, you had that young girl that was shot and killed in Central Falls before school. Kid came over with a gun. They thought it was a fake gun, and then she was shot and killed. The mayor of Central Falls, I was at that. She was crying at the press conference. She has not shed one tear or said anything about poor Erica. There should be pressure on the mayor. Why were these people allowed to have the type of filth conditions that they were living in? Why were they allowed to have that number of animals in the apartment? I recognize that some people are trying, and I get that, because it is disturbing for, when you see the type of conditions that they were essentially living in and that she was forced to live in. But I would like to hear the mayor of Central Falls address why that the city of Central Falls essentially allowed just the sheer number. When you're talking about 6 dogs and 34 cats, and as many people have said, that is absolutely a sign of mental illness and insanity when someone just starts collecting all these cats. I've also heard from people in that area that their cat went missing. But what people need to understand about the case with Erica is, as I mentioned, what's difficult about this is the number of transient people that were in and out of that apartment. You've heard about people that were living in the hallway by candlelight. That was just in the hallway. So they were allowing these people to live in the hallway. We've heard about how poor Erica was taken advantage of, how she was manipulated, how she was beaten, vicious beatings. Most of the bones in her body were broken. But what's going to be difficult is someone, as I've mentioned, that have covered different trials. In order to get a true murder conviction, you need to be able to prove this person did the following and that resulted in death. And it can be very difficult to do that. Very, very difficult to do that. So it's not as easy as people think it is. So in the amount of time, and it's just terrible, because when Erica was living in Warwick, she was living with a family that cared about her. And then when she turned 21, she just started kind of going wild, tragically, and didn't have a strong family. Not everyone has a home to go to. Not everyone has a strong family. Just keep in mind, if she had the option of living with her stepmother and father or living here, that's what she chose. Erica was living with some nice people that cared about her. And if you read the obituary we have, you'll see that. But I believe this is one of those things. I don't, and one of her friends said it's as if she kind of slipped through the cracks. I think there could be something to that. I think there could be something that it would have been easier if she was younger. But the fact that she was 24, it's as if they were able to get away with it. Now, I also want to touch on this story. That's Ryan Goulet. He was found, his body was found Monday at a park in Woonsocket. Ryan had some problems. Ryan had been, unfortunately, kind of living the street life a little bit. Now, there's a lot of speculation that he was potentially beaten to death. Woonsocket police have described it as a suspicious death. But I want to warn people, the Woonsocket police have two pretty high-profile cases going right now. They have the situation trying to locate the gun. They have all these arrests with the high school, and now they have this. I don't know. I spoke with a family member of Ryan. Sounds like it was a very gentle soul. I know his family is devastated. But I also want to caution people. I'd be very careful with some people just start making accusations. People start saying he was murdered. People start saying, right now, we don't have anyone that saw anyone beating him. There are apparently some of these punk kids in Woonsocket, and they have been beating up and assaulting some of the homeless people. But we don't have anything on that right now. So it is very sad. Of course it's sad. And he has a child, and he has family that care about him. And we did put it on blast to get it out there. And folks, I do that to alert people that something is up. So someone sees the photo and says, oh, I recognize him, and I have information on that. So that's why we do it. And it most of the time is effective. People that normally might not see something, they find out about it. I want to also just tell people the changing dynamic of media. Now, right now, this entire week, I have YouTube TV. I don't get ABC or ESPN. Disney's in a battle right now with YouTube TV. I have no idea. Channel 6 and World News Tonight and Good Morning America, they could be doing award-winning work. I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing it because it's not on my, and I guarantee you, people see social media and they're seeing us on Facebook and they're seeing us on TikTok and they're seeing us on Instagram. But I'm telling you right now, I'm not seeing any ABC programming, and the world didn't come to a halt, by the way. The sun came up this morning. All right. I want to thank Gian. Thank you to everybody for a great week. It's a busy week. Now, we will be active with Road Patrol Live this weekend. If you're listening to the radio, stay tuned for the 2 o'clock news. Everyone else, become a subscriber. We'll see you later tonight. And a grandfather on Road Patrol Live.